Hey you guys, this is Richard Sachs. I'm out here as the voice in the wilderness, so I thought I'd better do it in the wilderness, and this is real official wilderness I'm in. There's even a sign saying wilderness that I passed on the way out here. And there's a lot of bugs flying around because it's starting to get this sundown time. So if I'm waving too much, I apologize. They fly right into your eyes, so I'd prefer that they don't do that while I'm talking at least. So I just did a long video about the world situation and potential solutions in your hands, which I think are important. I can't put it on this platform because it's too evil. It'll violate community guidelines and terms of service and anything else like that. So I have to tell you the part of it that might be safe to say without disappearing. And I was talking about people serving evil in the world and how all the governments and corporate positions of power have been infiltrated with evil almost all over the world. There are some exceptions, but not many. And those exceptions are under fire right now as well. So it's all being orchestrated from the top. And it's not people that you've heard of. The top level humans are people that don't publicize their names. And they are servants of non-human individuals above them. That's my experience. I'm not talking to you about reading this somewhere or some religion. This is what I've seen. And their intent is complete elimination of life on the planet. And they're stepping toward that in a systematic manner. And they could do it overnight, and they're not. They're not. So you have to notice why. Why would they not? If they want to destroy life, including themselves, by the way. Though they don't tell their servants that because it would hurt morale. You know, what if all the people that, I really want to say the name of this platform, but I can't. What if all the people working at the social media platform knew that they were helping an extermination program where they were not going to survive it? You think they would keep doing their job with enthusiasm? So they're not told that. They're told that if they serve tyranny, they'll be rewarded. It's not a good deal to make, you guys. The bosses are not going to keep their word on that, believe me. Everybody's targeted for termination, to use the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie term. It's true. And it's better to break ranks now, become a whistleblower, refuse to abuse and kill, or have a hand in killing innocent people. If you're working for certain companies that are and I think you know what I'm talking about. I have to restrain myself from being specific here because I want to stay in touch with you on this platform if I can. Those people who are working for the big corporations or the government agencies or the international agencies that are harming populations and are involved leading up to genocide, once you realize that, you can't do that. You can't keep doing that. How can you? You know, your own conscience, which really is there, it's just buried. Your own consciousness is going to scream at you and say, I can't. I mean, I don't want to lose my job and my income and my ability to travel or whatever, but I can't be part of genocide, democide, murder. Can't do it. It's not my religion. I just can't do it. Even if I'd never read a book. Even if I'd never read any scriptures or anything, I look at it, and because I'm not a sleeping zombie, I say, no. That's me in another form. You know, all these scriptures that say, love your neighbor as yourself, there's a reason they say that. If it weren't true, if the other guy or the other woman is some kind of alien to you, it's dishonest to say you could love them as yourself. You couldn't do that. But what if they actually are yourself in another form? What if you're both spirit from the same source? Indistinguishable. below the levels of programming. Then loving them as yourself could be honest, regardless of what programming they're trapped in. Even the so-called bad guys and bad women, and the bad women are as bad as the bad men. They've proven equality now. You know, all the people who still think women in government would save the world, they're hypnotized or just unconscious zombies. They haven't looked around. Women are doing a lot of damage in government. They don't have to. Neither do men. Both come from the same source that people call God, source of all beauty. If they wake up to who they are, they would never serve evil. They couldn't do it. It's not that they'd be fearful of punishment or any of that. That's not necessary. Living in fear of anything is not just not necessary, it's totally counterproductive. You don't need fear for anything at all. You need perception and to become conscious. As soon as you start to wake up, you can't serve evil knowingly. And it'll all start to be knowing. So I'm trying to do this without saying anything that gets us kicked off immediately. You know, Dear Lost Arts Radio, we've deleted your video for your own protection, something like that. I'm trying to avoid that. But you know what I'm talking about. Situation in Canada, situation in Austria, Germany, Australia, New Zealand, America too. There's a lot of people in America serving evil, and they need to become aware of what they're doing, and to the point that they can't do it anymore. So this is just an invitation, and I guess I can put this part of it on this platform, to be true to yourself. And that doesn't mean proactive violence. I'm not advocating that at all. In this particular situation, that would be suicidal and not valiant, not honorable, not admirable. You know, it's just a big strategic mistake. I agree with what Alex was saying today and in the last few days, that there is a time for different behaviors, and this is a time for Gandhi type, Martin Luther King type, mass non-compliant, peaceful resistance. Even though you're walking into abuse like they are in Canada. And the main thing to do is not just the physical act, because what determines the full outcome of the physical act is the consciousness behind it. So even if you never come out of your house, even if you never say a word, and this is really hard to imagine, but it's true. If you change your internal awareness for real, not intellectually, I'm talking about on a much deeper level, your connections to everybody else everywhere instantaneously transmit that, and you affect everybody in your life. Try it. Learn how to not live in fear, no matter what happens. Learn not by suppression, but by finding where it comes from and deleting it. And there are ways to do that. Not hatred, not condemnation. What if all that was just gone, and instead you had piercing vision where you could actually see what was happening? Then you'd have to act on it, wouldn't you? And be true to it forever. Not going to sleep again. This has a lot of the characteristics of a dream world. You know, it looks solid and real, but that's because our senses are tuned to the frequencies it's vibrating at. It's not solid. There's more going on than appears, and there's something that you can do in a dream if you learn how, called lucid dreaming. And it means you go into a dream like anybody else, but instead of just all this kind of nonsensical stuff happening in the dream and jumping all over the place, you go into the dream feeling just like you do when you're awake, and you decide consciously what to do in the dream and what the script is and what the outcome's going to be. That's called lucid dreaming. And it's really interesting, and it has implications. This dream world that we call reality, you can do the same thing. And that's our job. Soon enough to prevent and reverse the agenda that's happening right now. We can do it. You don't need force, you don't need to be rich, you don't need a lot of resources. You need to set the priority so that this becomes important. So, just a suggestion, and if you want to see the rest of the full show, go to lostartsradio.com. I think it's all on lostartsradio.com/live on that tab, and that'll show where we're still on the air, our full shows, where it hasn't been taken off, and where the live streams that can be heard, things like that. And also access to Planetary Healing Club, where we talk about this thing live, interactive, once a week. And that's for people that really want to start actively transforming their own life. And Doug and I are there every week live in person. And there's interactive ability to trade thoughts, questions, answers, ideas on everything. Forbidden information that we're not supposed to know about health. I spent decades getting that together and experimenting with it. Aging, disease, degeneration, but also consciousness. How to do something different with your mind patterns and your emotional state, which are very, very powerful. Emotions come out of mind. All fear that bothers you comes out of mind. You can communicate with it and change the whole thing. Just leave you that hint. So that's planetaryhealingclub.com. If you're up to it and want to spend some time working, changing your whole life foundation, then that's planetaryhealingclub.com. I'm just suggesting, however you do it, this is a time to get serious about your priorities. And the main one being, what can you do to get as much of your physical health back, get away from poisonous chemicals, and then use that as a foundation to make it easier to do your real work, which is the thoughts and emotions that you're carrying and projecting. Those are more powerful than you're allowed to know. That's the fear of the people in charge. You wake that up, and this whole thing reverses. It's not a belief. You can test it. Start small and then quickly scale up. That's what I'm suggesting. If you want to take part, planetaryhealingclub.com, and stay aware of what's going on at lostartsradio.com. And if you want to help us stay on the air because we're commercial free, there's a donate button at lostartsradio.com, and Subscribe Star link is there too. And both of those work. The donate button is direct, Subscribe Star is good, and then there's a mailing address in case you don't want to do electronics and you want to mail something. That's great. Only for those that have, discretionary funds that you can give a little bit or a lot to our work. We have all kinds of projects that are on hold waiting for funds. So if you want to help that happen, please do. Get in touch. Contact forms on the website if you need to get us a message. And we have shows on Sunday with guests that are really interesting. So you're invited to that too. That's all free. Okay, so bottom line message, help us if you can, and please take care of yourself as top priority, because what you do in yourself really does affect everybody else everywhere in real time. Become aware of it, learn it, use it, become what you already are for the first time. And I'll meet you here next time. Thank you. See you soon.